So this is an old video that you're going to watch. I started filming in November 2023 and it took me a year to post. So these are all archived clips. Some of my thoughts might have changed, some might stay the same, but I'd like to post them because it's part of the journey and it's important to me, and they matter to me, and it shows the journey and shows different thoughts I was going through compared to now, I guess. But yeah, enjoy the video. Peace. One of the things cheers, mate. One of the things I've been thinking about today is how much different that this is compared to, the people back in the day that basically built the country. The tough men, and even the tough men you see today. And I do struggle with the fact that what this is doing is, what I'm doing here, should I say, isn't necessarily manly. Isn't that stereotypical manly and tough? I do fight with that one every day, because it is embarrassing to talk to a camera and to be like this. For me, it's not natural. For me, it's not how I've grown up thinking about things, and in a sense, it's like I'm almost got to I've almost got to think about and remind myself why I'm doing it. And one of the actual things is that the reason I'm doing it is for that actual opposite reason of, like, it is showing weakness. And these strong men and stuff like that, they're tough men, and they've been sort of forced that way. And there is a huge benefit that these tough men have gave the world, but it's a coin. You got the different sides to the coin, and with that toughness and harshness, you create a certain result, and you create a certain type of society that accepts certain things. Like, for instance, if you just ultimately just carried, you only had men that were tough, it'd be a pretty savage society. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. That's now not norm for us. But in the medieval times, the stories that you hear, you see, or like gladiators, you have these men, and it is savagery. And well, to us it's savagery, but they are tough men, and they are powerful men. And speaking like this to a camera isn't going to work speaking like this to people and showing people like this sort of weakness isn't always going to benefit. And it's just like the other way around. This has its benefits and this has its negatives. And one of the things I saw in ayahuasca was that I was a bear. And the reason I believe I was represented like that is because I have two sides to me. I have a softer side, and I have an aggressive side, a nasty side, a vicious side. And I think if you look at a bear, if a bear is too soft, it's not gonna survive. And if it's too harsh, it's I don't know, it's not going to be happy. And I don't know, and that's where you've got to look at sort of your meaning of life and look at, well, is there, should you be happy? Should you have these positive emotions? Or should you just, you know what I mean, live in hell, essentially? And I do wonder that. And my natural mind, or, you know, leans towards, I feel like there is a point of experiencing these positive emotions like that. Life has to have, life has to be good. And I don't see the point if life's not good. If good doesn't win. And that's why I see that this vicious bear and this way of life, this vicious way of life, and, you know, being nasty to people and fighting and that sort of side, being that tough guy, that's why I see that that's not the solution. It's valuable to have in your locker, but it's not sustainable. But I do fight with how much do you do that, because I feel like I hold a lot of that nastiness back. I work harder holding that back than naturally being nice, I think, sometimes. As a person, I think over the years I have sort of developed being more of a nice person. But then again, as I'm saying that, I am thinking, well, you know, naturally as a kid, I'm not that nasty as a kid. I do have a bit of a sweet heart. You know, a bit of a mama's boy. And for me, it's like, how much do you balance that, or do you just let it go? Do you just let go and you just let your natural way have at it? That's another thing I sort of debate on. Controlling your emotions. I believe you've got to control your emotions, or, you know, you will just be hurtful, and you also will just be vulnerable. You'll have both sides of those coins, where it'll have a sensitive spot of a weakness. There'll be a weakness, and, you know, I think a lot of life is you do have to get a balance of these things. You know, like if someone calls me stupid, it riles me up. It does. It does sort of insult me. And I was thinking today, why does it insult you? Because does it insult you because you are stupid? Does it insult you because you don't want to be stupid? And I just wonder why it actually does tickle a nerve. Some insults, I do wonder why do they tickle a nerve, especially in a joking way. Like, I know sometimes it's not serious, but I do wonder about the insecurities of people, and why do we have them? Why do I react like that just naturally? And it just fires me up. And, you know, I'm thinking today of, well, do you let it fire you up? And I think for me, you do. And again, it's finding that balance of, yeah, you let it fire you up until it starts poisoning you, until it becomes hatred. I think you've got to be careful what the fuel is that you're using. And I also think both ways. You know, you can't. Can you just can you fuel your sort of drive with love and positivity and all that stuff? And is it as potent? I mean, it probably has less of a negative effect, but really, is it intense? Because I think sometimes you just do need that fire in your belly to get stuff done, to prove people wrong. Like in my head, if I start believing that I am stupid, it's like, oh, I'll show you. I'll show you who's stupid. I'll show you that I'm better than you. And if I stick with that, my life could probably become a lot better, or I could become more successful in reaching my goals. So I don't mind it. So when I get called stupid, or I get called these insults, just randomly, when they're not meant to hurt, and I think, sometimes I think when people insult me, and I don't feel it as an insult, I'm like, should I just feel it as an insult? It might drive me. And I think having that skill to be able to manage that and control that is really good, because you can use it either way. You know, I could use that to fire myself up, or I could use that to reassure myself, or I could just completely blank it, which I probably do most of the time. Realistically, there's a handful of people that can actually affect me, I think, with words. And I think that's because I can manage and can control my emotions and what I think and how I use things. Like, being called stupid doesn't make me feel like I'm stupid, but it makes me want to prove people wrong, which I like that sort of attribute and characteristic about myself, because it gets me to do stuff. But it's just like I've said, you've got to be careful if it poisons you. But yeah, that's sort of what's been on my mind today at work. So yeah, peace.